Hi, everyone. I echo what our keynote speaker, Andy Greenberg, mentioned earlier about it feeling strange to give this talk in a hotel room full of law enforcement. But YOLO, let's do this. At present, the DEA defines cannabis as a Schedule I narcotic alongside heroin, which means that it's illegal federally. Being Schedule I category. All right, peanut gallery. Being Schedule I categorizes cannabis as, quote, having no currently accepted medical use, and yet 38 states have still made it legal for medicinal use, insert side-eye emoji here. This talk is a presentation on the hybrid of threats facing this industry and how that creates opportunities for us in the InfoSec world for research, investment, and/or protection of these resources. I don't have a lot of time, so please enjoy this microdose of a talk. So, I'm Tracy Mayleaf, AKA InfoSec Sherpa. What are my qualifications to talk about this? Well, one, I have 20-something years of research experience, first as a law firm librarian, more recently as an information security professional. I am looking for work, hence the hashtag open to work. I also have a medical marijuana license from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Okay, 31.8 billion with a B. Yes, that's with a B. This makes the cannabis industry a valuable target, one that needs to be protected because there's so many people who rely on the substance to help with medical issues like epilepsy and arthritis. For a long while, the cannabis industry was mostly concerned with the physical security aspects of the product. As you can see here, there are multiple opportunities for defense and compromise. There are also digital aspects to each of these physical concerns, like IoT devices, which could provide more entryways to compromise. What I think is interesting about this aspect of the cannabis industry is the convergence of many different industries which come with their own security problems. So you can imagine transportation, the trucking industry, and the storage, and even just consumers holding their stash safe. I'd like to take a minute the digital concerns are many. Not only could a business be impacted, but individuals engaging with the cannabis business could have their personal data stolen. Just like any small to medium business, owners just may not have the resources or the knowledge or the awareness to protect themselves, which creates an opportunity for us to protect them. So I'd like to take a minute to define some terms for those who are unaware. So take a look at the map here. This is current as of last month. So let's take a look at a couple things here. What's the difference between recreational versus medical cannabis? Just the way it's sold. The product isn't necessarily different, but in states where recreational is allowed, you must be 21. That's it. For states where only medical use is permitted, one must have a license obtained from a doctor to purchase. That's the difference. And then what's the difference between CBD and THC? You'll see that one of the blocks up there is there's only CBD and low THC available to be sold. So what's the difference? The difference is the way it interacts with your body. In a very general explanation, CBD does not give you that quote unquote high feeling, but THC does. And then when it says only low THC may be sold, that means that the THC constitutes 0.3% or less in the product. Now, there's a lot to keep track of, and it can vary greatly. So if you want to know where it's legal, I recommend the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, aka NORML. They have a law site. Now, they break everything down. I use Virginia since we are here in Virginia, and you can really get a breakdown of what's legal, what's illegal, etc. Now, this group is going to be on top of changes in legislation, so I recommend using them to fact check. Oh, and a side note, some states have reciprocal agreements that will permit a purchase out of state with a license. For example, I happen to know that the official dispensaries in the district across the river accept the Pennsylvania medical marijuana card. I recommend calling the exact dispensary you plan on using if you're out of state and ask them what they will or will not accept. Because again, all these things vary greatly, but keep in mind recreational does not have that limitation. Ever seen that show, Locked Up Abroad? Yeah, don't wind up on that show. You may be tempted to consume while outside the US. Know before you go, or just don't do it at all. Jamaica and the Netherlands are two places where you often hear people say, oh, I'm going to consume cannabis while I'm there. Yeah, not so fast. It's not exactly legal there either. There's all kinds of other considerations. So do your research and don't do anything stupid. I don't want to see you on TV locked up abroad. And that site there, the Cannabis Legality, is a great interactive site. If you click on one of the drops, it'll give you a breakdown of what is and isn't legal in that country. So, what if you're interested in aspects of innovation in the cannabis industry for either investment or intellectual property purposes? Go to your friendly neighborhood USPTO, which I believe is in the area, right? And do a simple search with the key term of cannabis. That's what I did here. There are so many pivot points from here. We can take this example of Fat Panda LLC and use the Patent Office's classification codes to then find similar innovations. You can then pivot further to a site I like to use named Owler to see who runs Fat Panda. So that's Robert McKinley. How much is the company worth? They have a very wide range. But remember, private companies are very difficult to get information about. So you can make another pivot and use open source resources like industry magazines. There's lots of cannabis industry magazines you can look up and see what these companies are doing. You can also use things like the NAICS code and the other classifications then to find companies that are similar to what you're researching. There are 3 laws to keep an eye on if you're interested in this space. Just yesterday, CNBC reported an update regarding the Safe Banking Act. Quote, Senate holds first hearing on bill to help marijuana businesses access financing. Of the 3, the SAFE Act has the most activity. If passed, this will dramatically change the cannabis industry and both how the businesses are run and how consumers pay for the product. So stay tuned and pay attention to that one. Just like any other industry, cannabis is impacted by MDM, misdis malinformation. MDM could sway voting and public perception, which the ripple effect of that could be detrimental to those who either own businesses or who rely on the product for health issues. So, coming soon, something I'm working on. I am working with the Cannabis ISAL to create a research guide about the industry. It will be posted on their site sometime fairly soon. It's going to be breaking down all kinds of OSINT research, it's going to be an expanded version of what I'm presenting here. And we're hoping at the ISAL that people use it in our community, in our industry, to not only reach out and help businesses in need or just to educate yourself. Please feel free to join the Cannabis ISAL if interested. If you're not fully committed to membership, you can just join our Slack channel and engage in conversations. Membership is not required for that, and that is their information. And my talk here is done. You can reach me online, and I will be giving a longer version of this talk at the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu event, June 25th here in Northern Virginia. Thank you.